No,
There we
never
go.
mind. Right, you back to work. Go.
Don't worry, Neil. I'll take this out to the recording I put on the classroom later. All right. All right. Those who put 3 as your answer, well done. 3 is the answer for that one. So as a reminder of our steps, we want to reach a point where it is later on x equals. Okay, so we're going to move everything over to the other side. The first thing we're going to move is that +7. That goes to become a -7 on the end of there. So we have 5x equals 22 minus 7. So that's 5x equals 15 if we take them away. Then we want to move the 5. I think, Aaron, this was the mistake you made on yours. I think you times, but you should be dividing because this 5 becomes a divide when I move it to the other side. So that becomes 15 divided by 5, which is 3. There we go. Where's the answer? Right, so that was my little recap one. Right, I'm going to go on to this one involving some brackets here. I think we have very briefly looked at brackets, but they could form quite a big part of today's lesson. All right, so if we have a bracket, just as a bit of a reminder in algebra, and there's a number just before it on the outside, what that means is that we are timesing the whole bracket by 5. So the first thing we have to do with this is expand the brackets. Okay, in other words, get rid of the brackets. 2 is the correct answer. Well done, Abe. You jump ahead on this one, really good. But we're going to expand the brackets. And to do that, we need to multiply everything inside by the 5 on the outside. So we need to do 5 times x, which is 5x. Then we need to do 5 times 9, which is 45. And we put a plus in the middle because there was a plus there, positive. And that equals 55. From this point onwards, it's exactly the same steps as we would do normally, moving everything over to the other side. Eventually, we want to get x on its own. But before we do that, we have to expand the brackets, get rid of the brackets. So then it becomes 5x equals 55, take away 45 when I move that over. 5x is equal to 10 when I work that out. Then I want to move the 5 to become a divide. 10 divided by 5, which is 2. 2 is my answer. Okay, so just a little bit of a recap on brackets with that one there. Next one. Right, so we have this time another reminder of what we've been doing recently, where there are x's on both sides. Now, we've been doing a few of these, and they have been potentially a little bit difficult. I think I did a video on these last week. But when we have x's on both sides, our aim is to move the x's so that they're on the same side and everything else so that it's on the other side. So I have a 6x on the left and I have a 2x on the right. Now, because 6 is bigger than 2, I'm going to keep the 6x where it is, and I'm going to choose to move this 2x to the left. Okay, so 6x stays where it is, that 2x moves over. And on the left-hand side of the equals, I have all my x's. So if I want all the x's on the left, everything else, or in other words, this +4, is going to move to the right. So essentially, those two things swap places. We still have 6x on the left, and we still have 16 on the right, but these two things have swapped sides. Well, the +4 moves to become a -4 on the right, and this 2x moves to become take away 2x on the left, because that's a +2. Remember, when there's no sign in front of it, that means it's a positive, so it becomes a minus on the other side. Then you just have a couple of things to work out. 6x take away 2x is 4x. 16 take away 4 is 12. Next step, I'm going to move that 4 over to become a divide. So it's x equals 12 divided by 4. And I get an answer of 3. So that's just a little explanation about when there are x's on both sides. I know I maybe did some of these last week, all right, but it's all recap so far. Okay. So this one here, I've chosen to do this one because I was asked a question about it, and it's really easier than it seems, but something sort of strange does happen with this question. So, well, I'll tell you what, I'll let you have a think for a moment, give you 30 seconds or so. What answer do I get for this? What answer do I get for this one? Oof, Nia, that was quick. 16 is the correct answer to this one. Well done. So where on earth do we get 16 from? Well, actually, the steps that we take are the same, but there's one less to do. There's no dividing I need to do later. And that's because if I move things around, I want to move this 2x to the left, and I want to move -9 to the right. Okay. Good to hear, Nia. Well done. So I move those over. So 3x stays there, but now it's joined by take away 2x. And I have 7 on the right, but now it's joined by the -9, which becomes a +9. So this was the thing that maybe confused people. 7 plus 9 is 16 on the right. 3x take away 2x is 1x. But remember, in algebra, we don't write the 1. We just write x. And there's the final answer to this question. I think the person I spoke to maybe thought, is there an extra step from this stage? Do I need to move anything? Do I need to divide anything? No, that's done. When is x on its own, that question is done. Okay. Right, so we have x's on both sides, and now we're moving into the more difficult types of questions. Okay, now I maybe did one a little bit like this as well. Maybe this one's not too bad. But if I have 4x on the left, I have 9x on the right. Well, 9 is the biggest amount. So that 9x is going to stay where it is. And I'm going to choose instead to move the 4x over there. Smaller. So if I have all my x's on the right of the equals this time, then I need to move everything else. Or in other words, that over there. So I want to move the 4x to the right, and I want to move the 4 to the left. So I end up with this as my next line. 19, take away 4, because I had that 19 there, and now the +4 becomes a -4. And I have 9x there. And now I want to move the 4x over, so it's going to become a take away 4x. So those are my sums I need to do. It does not matter that the x is on the right-hand side. It does not matter. Your answer will still be fine at the end. 19 take away 4 is 15. 9x take away 4x is 5x. And now your last step is just to move that 5 from here over to the left-hand side. And now it does not matter that x is on the right. That's absolutely fine. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So you have 3 equals x. That's your final answer. If you have sort of a bit of OCD about it and you like to have things the right way around, then you can just swap sides. You can just put x equals 3, move the x back over to the left, move the 3 over the side. It doesn't matter. They both mean exactly the same thing. That is right. That is right. They're both fine. Okay, any questions so far? All okay, I think up to this point is still largely just a recap. Maybe this one was a bit more difficult. Okay, now this one here may be getting to some really difficult ones now where there's some negatives involved and we have to be careful about our signs and things like that. So first thing, there's x's on both sides. So there's x's on both sides, and what I need to do is move either the 8x or the 3x, choose which one. Now the 3x is the one I'm going to move because 8 is the biggest one. So that's going to move over there. And in turn, I'm going to have to move the -17 over here. Okay. On the left-hand side, I did have 8x. Now it's joined by a -3x when I move that over. Okay, onto this bit now. This is the difficult bit now. You don't have 2, you have -2 at the moment. When there's a minus in front of something, it's important to keep it there. Okay, there's a -2, but the -17 is then going to move over to become a +17. So this sum here is particularly important to get right. On the left, then I have 5x. And -2 plus 17 is the sum I have to do. Right, type it in, please. What's the answer to -2 plus 17? -2 plus 17. Start on -2, go up by 17. If you're writing 15x, 15 is the answer to that side. Think of it like a number line. You're starting low down on -2 and you're going up by 17. So if you add 2 on, you get up to 0. And then there's another 15 after that. It's straightforward. Same thing as before. We're going to divide by 5 to end up with an answer of 3. X is 3. Good. Okay, moving on. Now, this one looks normal, but it's not. This is difficult. If we're understanding these and we're able to give these a go on our own, I think you're really mastering this topic, to be honest with you. These are not your average standard ones. If you get one like this in a test, it'll be potentially the toughest one. It looks quite normal, but it's not. 7x, 3x. One of them is going to stay there. I'm going to keep 7x there, and I'm going to move the 3x over to the left. So if that moves to the left, I need to move the +13 to the right. So my next line is going to look like this. 7x, take away 3x, equals. Now, I did have a +3 there, so 3 stays there. Now, this +13 becomes a -13. So that's the important stage to get to. If we get to there, that's potentially one of the hardest bits done. But it's going to be +3, take away 13. Okay, so 7x take away 3x is 4x. That bit's the normal bit. Okay, next bit. What's the answer to this bit? Type it in, please. What's 3 take away 13? What's 3 take away 13? So we have a -10. Do we agree with that? Do we agree with Nia and Erin? -10 is correct. Well done. Okay. Think of it like, again, well done, Jackson. We want to stick to think of it like a number line. We'll start on 3 and go down by 13. So you're going down beyond the 0 into the negative numbers. So if I want to work out what x is, again, I need to move this 4 over to the other side, and that's going to become a divide. So I have this sum to do, -10 divided by 4. Now, not easy for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's going to be a decimal answer. 4 doesn't go in exactly. And number 2, we have to deal with some negatives. Oh, Nia on fire again. Excellent. The answer to this one is -2.5. Well, that's because 2 divided by 4 is 2.5. But the fact we have a minus there is important. Now, remember, these are your rules with negative numbers. If we have a plus times, or this works for dividing as well, plus divided by plus is a positive answer. Minus divided by minus is a positive answer. Positive divided by a minus is a minus. And this is the last one, is what we have going on in this question. A negative number divided by a positive number gives us a negative answer. And that's what happened here. Okay. Noah, if you could let Karis know, I will upload this lesson afterwards if your Wi-Fi is gone, okay? I'll upload it. It'll be about 15 minutes after the lesson, okay? So she can watch it back where she left off. Okay. Right, thanks. There we go. Okay, so that one, like I said, was particularly difficult. Now we're going to move on to the last one now. This one here, this beast of a question here. Now, I know a lot of you can still do a lot of these in your head. Now, I think this one is really, really difficult to do in your head. All right, if you end up with an answer for this in your head, I think you've potentially been quite lucky. So let's follow these step by step. This is where we have brackets on both sides. Now, the first thing I need to do, as I did in a bracket question earlier, was to expand the bracket. So in other words, get rid of the brackets by multiplying. And I need to do that on both sides. Okay, if you ever see brackets, get rid of them first. So I need to times everything on the inside of this bracket on the left by 5. So my first sum I'm going to do is 5 times 2x. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. So 5 times 2x is 10x. 10x for the first bit. Up next, I'm going to multiply the 5 on the outside by -3. 5 times -3. Well, 5 times 3 is 15. So 5 times -3 is -15. On the right-hand side, I'm going to multiply x plus 12 on the inside here by the 3 on the outside. So that's going to be 3 times x, first of all, which is just 3x. Then I'm going to do 3 times 12. That's a positive 12. So that's going to be a positive, a plus 36. Okay, now from this point onwards, what I have here is some x's on both sides and some numbers on both sides. This now looks exactly like the questions that I've been doing over the last few examples. It looks very similar to, so like I started with one here in the previous example with x's on both sides and numbers on both sides. And that's what I've ended up with after expanding my brackets. So I have 10x and 3x. I'm going to move the 3x over there. And in turn, I'm going to move the minus 15 over here. Okay, let's have a look what Nia says. Excellent, those are the right steps. So it's going to be 10x, take away 3x, because that's what 3x becomes when it moves over the other side, equals 36, and we're going to move that minus 15. No worries, Karis, you can watch it back afterwards. And we end up with 36 plus 15. Okay, I'm going to leave this with you now for a minute. What's the answer? What's the answer to this question? A horrible feeling that there's actually going to be a pretty horrendous decimal this question. So let's say round it to 1 decimal place. Mistake for myself in writing the question, but we'll go for 1 decimal place, or like Nia has there. Well done if that is right. So a few of us saying now it's 7x equals 51. So then I have to do x equals 51 divided by 7. Now, use my calculator, that's absolutely fine. If not, we might not have in an exam. I'd expect us to set it up something like this. 51 divided by 7. 7 won't go into 5, but it goes into 51 7 times to get up to 49. So that's remainder 2. Well, I think you guys are not quite right with this one. Erin, I think you have it. So it is 20 divided by 7 next, which is 2. Remainder 6. Now 60 divided by 7 is 8. Remainder 4. So it's basically going to carry on going like that. And if I want this to 1 decimal place, well, I'll call that 7.3. That's my final answer. Okay. However, you'll probably have one that's a whole number. I just maybe made a mistake because I'm writing a question off the top of my head. Okay. But well done for those guys who've given me some answers today. Well done. I think we're going to call it a day for the topic of algebra there. Okay, so solving equations, I think you guys have done very well on in general. So well done on that, and we'll be moving on to something new very soon. So unless you have any questions, off you go. Have a nice rest of the day. Thanks, Karis.